This book has received a lot of mixed reactions. There are some like myself who like the book, and there are others who genuinely and deeply hate this book. That is why I would like to understand the perspective of the people who feel like it romanticizes abuse, but I haven't seen anyone go in depth into it, aside from just saying that is what they think, that it romanticizes abuse. Personally, I did not see what there was to connect about, but maybe I'll see it in the movie. It Ends With Us has finally been adapted into a movie, and since the movie just came out, I cannot think of a better time to review the 2 books that make up the It Ends With Us story. Before I watched the movie, I wanted to create a video that is solely from the perspective of somebody who has only read the books. Then I'll check out the movie and see how they adapted it. I do wonder if it's a play-by-play of the book, or it captures the core of the story but diverges from the rest of it to give us a new perspective, perhaps one that is better suited for film. In addition to liking the book, I was even more excited when I found out that Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni are the main characters. Blake Lively has always been a phenomenal actress in my opinion, and I fell in love with Justin Baldoni when he played Rafael Solano in Jane the Virgin. In Jane the Virgin, he was more or less a good guy, but in It Ends With Us, he plays a complex character. So I am curious to see how he's going to bring the character of Rafael Kincaid to life. Lastly, before we get into the books, I know there are rumors that the 2 main characters may be feuding. Just because Justin Baldoni has not been part of the promotional team of the movie, it seems like the rest of the cast is there, but Justin Baldoni does not appear in some of these events. But this video is not going to be talking about that. This video is just going to focus on the books. So I will be talking about 2 books, and that is It Ends With Us and It Starts With Us by Colleen Hoover. It Ends With Us follows Lily Blossom Bloom, and yes, that is the main character's name. It is a bit of a mouthful, but you do get used to it pretty quickly. Well, at least I did, so let me speak for myself. Lily hasn't had the best childhood experience, but we meet her as an adult and she seems to be doing pretty well. She has always been passionate about flowers and gardening, so she decides to bite the bullet, quit her job, and start a flower shop. It's during this chapter of her life that she meets Rafael Kincaid. His career path is in medicine, and his goal is to become one of the most established people in his profession. I can't remember his exact specialty, but he is a surgeon of some sort. If I was to describe his character, I would say he is passionate, resilient, sensitive, and stubborn, with a volatile and turbulent personality. On a random occasion, they bump into each other, and there is this instant connection between the 2 of them. Personally, I did not see what there was to connect about, but maybe I'll see it in the movie. While Lily feels a pull towards Rafael is intensely infatuated. Unfortunately, a few interactions between the 2 confirm that they do want different things out of life. Rafael doesn't do relationships, while Lily does not do casual stuff. Eventually, they do figure something out, and the initial stage of their relationship is what I suppose you would call a Cinderella story. But without warning, things take a turn for the worse, and what might seem like a simple romance story turns out to be much more than your typical light and fluffy romance book. Once all this is laid down, the story has you at the edge of your seat as you wait to see how Rafael and Lily are going to navigate the dynamic they find themselves in. This is a story that deals with heavy topics such as navigating past and present trauma, breaking free from toxic patterns, and exploring how difficult experiences do not have to define you, nor do they have to determine your future. It shows how one can reshape their life into something that brings them joy despite having gone through horrific things. The book does highlight some intense and sad experiences, but it balances them out with moments of happiness, demonstrating that even in dark times, there are always pockets of joy to be found. While I had issues with the beginning of the book, the progression of the story was so well executed that it quickly became a novel that I sincerely enjoyed reading. But back to the beginning of the story, I did not buy that instant connection. As a matter of fact, all I saw were red flags when they first met. I just didn't see the instant attraction that the author claims sparked the journey of the two characters together. But if I had to decipher those initial interactions, I would say maybe the author was showing us that you can pick up on red flags, but if the justification to that behavior is something that is equally intense, then it becomes easier to ignore or discard certain things as an isolated situation. This book has received a lot of mixed reactions. There are some like myself who like the book, and there are others who genuinely and deeply hate this book. Since I am team I like the books, I find myself intrigued and curious to understand what it is exactly that people hate so much. One of the major criticisms that I have come across is that this book seems to romanticize abuse. But in my opinion, I think this book does not romanticize abuse in any capacity. Instead, it offers a realistic portrayal of how and why people can end up staying in toxic environments for years or even a lifetime. It illustrates how being close to someone toxic is not a black and white experience. It's a complex world of ups and downs filled with high highs and low lows. There are often good moments and many of them alternating with bad ones, which are also a lot. What I got from this book is that the beginning of relationships which end up being toxic all typically start on a positive note filled with wonderful and consistent experiences. Things only start to fall apart once trust has been established and when emotions shift from mere liking or infatuation to unquestionable love. I give this book 5 stars because I thought it was great, and I completely disagree with the claims that say it tries to romanticize abuse. I shared my thoughts on the platform Goodreads right after finishing the book, and I believe we completely capture why and how this book does not romanticize abuse. My Goodreads review of this was, I feel this closely resembles the dynamic that people who experience such situations have to deal with. It is pure confusion, and because the person inflicting pain always presents themselves as a victim or extremely remorseful, the book captures how easy it is to convince yourself that maybe you are blowing things out of proportion. Maybe if you do this and that, it won't happen again because you won't give the person a reason to react that way. Maybe this time it will finally be different because there was accountability for bad behavior and what seems like a heartfelt apology. It goes on, and I think the book candidly captures all of this. Thank God the ending clearly showed that it's never okay. I also felt it was very accurate in its portrayal of how, whether you choose to leave or stay, the love shared remains in some shape or form. The only thing I think could have been executed differently was the best friends and the mom's reactions. In real life, you shockingly often get a lot of arguments as to why you should stay. Because of the important message this book is trying to communicate, I wish there was another voice of reason outside the immediate situation to convey the same thing. That said, props to the best friend and the mom for their reactions. Personally, I have thankfully never been in a situation where I have experienced what Lily Bloom goes through. And I also do not have people that are close to me that have gone through the same. So I can't say I am fully aware of all the dynamics that come into play when you're in such a situation. That is why I would like to understand the perspective of the people who feel like it romanticizes abuse, but I haven't seen anyone go in depth into it, aside from just saying that is what they think, that it romanticizes abuse. Perhaps there is something that I missed when I was reading the book. Still, I believe the story was portrayed very well and offers one lens to understand how these dynamics come to be, though it is certainly not the only lens. If you've read It Ends With Us, tell me what you think. Do you agree with the people who think it romanticizes abuse? Or like me, do you think it accurately portrays the dynamic of an abusive relationship and also sends a clear message that it is not okay, it is never okay? On to book 2, which is It Starts With Us by Colleen Hoover. Here we again meet our main character Lily, who is no longer with Ryle Kincaid. The two, however, have a daughter, and they seem to have developed a good routine that allows them to co-parent really well. But something happens that will test how strong their co-parenting routine really is. After 2 years of being single, Lily meets her first love, Atlas, and they immediately agree to go on a date. Lily's decision is more spontaneous than thought out. So once she has time to sit down and think about it, she realizes it might be a problem in terms of how it's going to affect the co-parenting routine that she has set up with Ryle. We follow Lily as she tries to tread lightly to ensure the co-parenting routine she has stays in place while still pursuing the things that she wants for herself, like having a romantic life. This book shifts between Lily and Atlas's perspective, which is something I always appreciate in fiction if it's done really well. And I do think it was executed really well in this story. We got to know the inner parts of two different characters, and Atlas's thought felt authentic to how a guy would interpret and the perspective they would hold on certain things. It really irks me when dual points of view feel off, like when a female author writes from a guy's perspective and it still feels like it was written by a woman. So I appreciate how the dual perspectives felt accurate in this story. This book is about breaking away from toxic patterns and rebuilding your life after going through a toxic relationship. We see a character choosing not to be defined by her experiences. She sees her value and worth as a human being, and she expects the people in her life to do the same. If not, she speaks up for herself and does not allow people to treat her badly and get away with it. I think it ends with us could have been a standalone book because the conclusion was sufficient. But I like that we got the second book to show the clear difference between what a healthy relationship is and what it is not. This was another good read for me, and I gave it 4 stars. Those are my thoughts on the book It Ends With Us, and It Starts With Us by the controversial author Colleen Hoover. Thanks for watching. If you're into bookish content and film reviews, feel free to subscribe to my channel. Also, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and leave me a comment below.